Welcome to episode 177 of Wealth Talk. My name is Christian Rodwell, the Membership Director for Wealth Builders, joined today by our founder, Mr. Kevin Whelan. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Chris. Good to be with you again today. What are we talking about today?
Well, I picked up on something in a conversation I had with one of our new members last week, and that was all around the values that we shared. And it was off the back of a webinar we had earlier this month, which was showing people the Wealth Builders Academy. And I was speaking with this client who said, I really just love the Wealth Builder values and I really resonate with them. And I thought that was really nice. And perhaps we hadn't shared them for a little while on the podcast. So maybe our listeners would like to hear about them. And also a good reminder that we have the Declaration of Financial Independence to share with people.
I mean, that was created, can't remember how many years ago, Chris, good number of years ago. It'd be interesting to see whether those values, the principles by which we conduct ourselves and our business, stand the test of maybe, 5, 6, 7 years on. Be interesting. Be good. Yeah. I mean, they're obviously committed into my DNA. So like a stick of Blackpool rock, cut care open, you're going to get those things. But the language might be slightly different. But let's see where we go with them.
Yeah. So the declaration is a certificate. It's available to download, and you can head to wealthbuilders.co.uk/declaration, download a copy, because we love seeing our members and our community sharing their selfies of their signed declarations. And perhaps we've not had so many recently. So it'd be great to get some new photos in the Facebook group.
It would. But of course, people make the declaration for themselves. They don't have to share it with anyone. Lots of people are not kind of social media driven at all, but others are. And we do like to know that people resonate with the values, whether it's just internally and on their own, they want to keep it to themselves, or with their families, or they want to share it. But always lovely to share, because that helps the community. And both the words sharing and community are essential to the core values of Wealth Builders anyway.
Yeah. And at Wealth Builders, there are 3 key areas that we focus on every day, every week, and that's being holistic, being impartial, and transformational. And we're the only holistic wealth building company in the UK that we're aware of.
Well, we haven't had a call. we're company number 2. Now, what I mean by that is we look at wealth in the 360. We take a helicopter view of all ways to build wealth. And of course, we're humble people. I often reach out, don't I, and say, well, we think there are only 7 assets you can use to build wealth. But if you can help us find pillar number 8, asset number 8, I've got an inkling on what it might be in the future, Chris. Shall I share that with you?
Yeah, why not?
All right, okay. So, we've got the football on at the moment. The World Cup's going mad, isn't it? And very entertaining it is too. But you occasionally get the odd person, the famous ones, Ronaldo and maybe people like David Beckham and so on. They appear on the screen, don't they? And what we know about them is they have their own personality rights. So they've got the rights to who shares their image, their face and so forth. At the moment, we live in a world where somebody else has got domain over our rights. So what you and I spend, what you and I watch, what you and I Google or search, all of those things belong to somebody else. I think there'll come a time that we'll have domain over our own searching, over our own materials, and we can say to organizations and institutions who might want to make their products and services available to us, that we will sell them our intellectual rights, our personality rights, our searching rights for a premium. So just as Warren Buffett can get a premium for the holding of his stock that he then lets out, rents out for options, that's a different subject on another day, I'm sure, but we'll be able to do the same ourselves in the future and actually have our own rights. So I think that'll come, but that will be a version of intellectual property rights, I guess, which is pillar number 6. But for now, we believe there's 7. So we deal with all 7. We don't know anybody else who deals with all 7. There are some outstanding people, by the way, in different fields, whether it's intellectual property or business or certainly the ownership of property and the multitude of property strategies. And we're always keen to build with more people who are outstanding in their field. But yeah, I think we are the only holistic company. And of course, we remain impartial. We don't push an agenda. We don't push one asset over another. We don't push one strategy over another. We serve to make people aware, to educate, to support them, to connect them to other people so they can get the inspiration for themselves. And then, if necessary, to help them connect to partners and other people who can make that happen for them in a way that they can be that their trust is warranted, that they know what they're doing in that support role. So it's not always us that supports. I suppose we're curators of outstanding people, aren't we? Like a big black book of excellence, I would say. And my job is to keep that book up to date and add new people and sometimes, sadly, to remove people.
Yeah, and that's one big new feature that we're really looking forward to launching at the start of next year, which is our trusted partner portal, where we'll bring in the very best people out there that you've come across, Kevin, and where possible, negotiate discounts for our members as well on their services.
Well, absolutely, because who wouldn't want a well-educated, well-motivated, purposeful individual or family focused on building their wealth? Because, see, wealth is about repeating certain things. And the art of good business is recurring activity, recurring income, recurring business, recurring income streams. So if you've got a great mortgage broker who wants to meet wealth builder clients who are building a portfolio of property, they're not going to do one, they'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20. So therefore, they would want to have access to the people in our community. Well, we want them to pay for that by giving some form of benefit, discount, or enhancement to our members. And we're going to push that very, very hard in 23. And I know you're working very hard on the portal, a trusted portal for trusted people. And I'm sure we'll create a name for it and launch that in due course.
We will. Okay, so I've got the declaration up in front of me, and this is titled The New Declaration of Financial Independence, Kevin. And it's a lovely certificate, which, as we say, you can download. You can write your name at the top and have someone witness that for you. And it starts off, I'm totally committed to becoming completely financially independent and to sharing the following 7 Wealth Builder values.
Yeah. And of course, there's the new Declaration of Independence. It's a play on words, wasn't it, with the original Declaration of Independence in the US of wherever it was, 1770 something. 1774, I think. But either way, the idea is here's just a new version. Here's a new way of looking at it. And in fact, when anybody looks at it, it's new to them because until you've signed it, you've never signed it. So it's a new declaration. And it's a personal declaration. And if necessary and possible, a public declaration to show that you are committed, because commitment means actions which will repeat. Because you cannot build wealth with a lack of commitment. You have to commit to a process. You can't just commit to an action. It's a repeating process of multiple things. And I guess you could share with our audience some of those things, Chris, and I can comment on why they were important to me at the time when I wrote it.
Yeah, let's give some context around these. So number 1 is taking full responsibility for my own financial future in a hands-on, accountable way.
Nobody will take more care of your money than you. And all too often, the real challenge and problem that I've seen play out, and the reason why 95% of the population never become financially independent, is because they don't take that responsibility themselves, either through some misguided information they picked up from their parents or their employer or the government. They think that the employer, the pension, their house, or the government will take care of them. They won't. Right? There might be something that's made available, but inevitably it will not be enough for you to be financially independent. Now, at best, if you're in the very best pension scheme in the UK, at very, very best, it'd be 2/3 of your income. And for most people, significantly less than that. And the very bedrock of those pensions was shaken recently when we had that political turmoil. And many of those large final salary pension schemes, Chris, almost blew up, which would have robbed and deprived thousands and thousands of people of a future they thought was in the bank. It's not in the bank. The only way to secure your future is secure it yourself. So you must take that personal responsibility.
Okay, number 2 on the declaration is conducting my life and my business in a way that demonstrates the highest integrity.
Well, I mean, this is DNA stuff, isn't it? The very fabric of who we are as a firm. That's why it's behind our money back guarantees. People can work with us for 60 days and try us out. It only works for us if it works for them. But it's not just about business, it's about everything. So it's how you connect with people, how you engage with people, how you serve people when nobody's looking. These are the most important things, because it's the very fabric of who you become. What we've noticed, and it's a sad tragedy in recent events, post-COVID, post-credit crunch, post something, when people get into difficulties, their integrity falls into question. And we've seen the consequence of that. And activity, people can change, but we want that DNA of integrity to be at the very fabric of who you are as a person, because then that reflects our values as people. So we only do things that serve others. Yes, we're a commercial enterprise, Chris. Yes, of course we are. Because unless we create some kind of margin in the business, make some kind of profit, then we'll run out of energy and marketing materials to give away for free, because we obsess about how much information we give away for free, books and audios and courses and so on, and challenges and many, many things, because we want to be around. We want to be ready when they discover they're ready to be committed for themselves. So we need to do that, but the commerciality never takes over the importance of maintaining integrity. And sometimes we do get a claim, don't we? 1 or 2 a year for people who want their money back, Chris, and it's unhesitating. Yeah. And we just do that because we don't want to fight anybody. It didn't work. Okay, we'll give you money back because we don't want to keep it. Simple as that.
Yep. Okay, moving on to number 3 then, which is investing time in building lasting relationships.
Well, there's 2 hidden messages there, right? The one is you've got to invest time, because you have to. Wealth building is a process that takes time, isn't it? You need patience. You need to focus on the things that make that work. And the best way to build wealth is not to do it on your own. The 3 most expensive words in wealth building, and I discovered that for myself, didn't realize it. I was a bit too arrogant in my youth, I think. One could argue I might be that now, but I try not to be. The humility to be open-minded about asking for help, and the humility to recognize that you need to accept other people's ideas in the process. And that means building relationships and being prepared to accept that wealth building is more fun done with others. A bit like Christmas, nobody has a happy Christmas on their own. We're not Scrooge. We want to share and enjoy experiences, events, money, time. One of the greatest things that people tell us, don't they, when they're trying to build wealth for themselves, is to often change that work-life balance so they can spend more time, seeing their kids grow up, seeing their kids doing things that perhaps their parents didn't do for them. So, yeah, really important one, that one.
Okay, let's just take a pause now, and shall we read out a review from Trustpilot, which we've had in this week. Let me have a look, from Tom. And Tom is saying, great to be part of this community. I have been involved with Wealth Builders for a few years now and have gained a huge amount of knowledge that has served me well. The access to the Wealth Builder Academy has allowed me to receive excellent coaching and also access to some fantastic service providers that have enabled me to provide a brighter and a more protected financial future for my family. keep up the good work.
Evidence in action, isn't it? So he's not saying he's done it all. He's saying Wealth Builders helped, our trusted partners have helped, the coaches have helped, his family have helped. So it's a genuine work of collaboration at every level, and we just love to encourage that and see what people do. And that's probably where pillar number 7 comes from, isn't it? The joint ventures and collaborations, which is different in how we do things, I think, compared to anybody else I've seen, where it tends to be you being trained or you being educated in an insular way, and you're doing things on your own. But we like to encourage people to see that they are different from others, and hence the wealth dynamics issue. Getting to know yourself helps you work better with others. It's not just knowing yourself. It's what are the gaps in your flow? What are the gaps in your intellect? What are the gaps in your knowledge? What are the gaps? What are the gaps? And plugging in other people to make you a holistic 360 person. And then again, that reflects back to the point you made about being holistic and impartial.
Yeah. So thanks to Tom for sharing that. And that leads us into number 4 on our declaration, which is actively sharing the knowledge and the lessons I have learned along the way.
Don't keep it to yourself, Chris. When you take the humility on board to receive guidance, inspiration, education from other people, be willing to share it with others. Do you remember some while ago, Chris, we had the visual, I think we used it on our webinar, which describes a little more of how people can get to work with the Academy. We talk about imagining you're crossing a bridge or crossing a traverse, and you've got one arm extended, reaching out for help, and one arm behind you, offering to provide help. And that's a real good visual that I would encourage, that people can see that this isn't a self-serving community. People are not out for themselves. And that surprises people from time to time, especially those who are transitioning out of work in the kind of work environment where often, yes, there might be some collaboration, but more often than not, it's protecting your own position. I suppose a bit like the politicians do, but this is much more about that real sharing, both before and after you've got the knowledge.
Okay, number 5 is helping others who are like-minded and on the same path. So that kind of follows on quite nicely from the point you were just making there.
Yeah, but it's I suppose one is sharing information, but the other is that integrity to help, to see an opportunity to help. You remember we mentioned recently the book from Dan Hill, which was all talking about the power of karma and just doing good things for people. So help anybody whenever you can, and makes you feel good.
Okay. Number 6 on the declaration is supporting the growth of the community.
Well, community is the watchword of everything we do, Chris, and the hallmark of community is common language, common values, common objectives. You talked about people being on the same path. And while we're not saying don't go outside the community, we're not saying that, because you need to work with external people, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's an accountant, and so on, or just other people. It doesn't matter, they're not in the community. But if you're trying to help the people inside the community, and of course, many times people will tell us about an outstanding experience they've had with an expert of some kind, and we reach out to them to bring them into the community. So another part of that is when you're looking and talking to people who give you a great experience in life, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, almost like a 4.9 Trustpilot review. We want to know so that we can reach out to them and say, hey, Fred said great things about you. Mary said terrific things about you. We'd love to know more about what you do and maybe help you, because we can help them grow their business at the same time as growing the integrity and strength of people who are in ours.
Okay. And the final, number 7 on the declaration, is passing on a legacy together with the principles and wisdom to maintain and expand it.
Yeah, this is a big one. If you just say that again slowly, right? And I'll just interrupt you, right?
Okay. Passing on a legacy.
Pause. See, most people think that passing on a legacy as about passing on a pot. Dad's died, mum's died, here's some money, go distribute. Right? That's the typical thought about a legacy. That's not how we see legacy. It's not about what you leave people. It's what you leave inside them that counts. So the key to a real legacy, a legacy as we chart that when we create more of that in due course, Chris, with WealthBuilders for Families, family charters, is so that you're leaving the skills, the knowledge, the wisdom and the enjoyment, almost like passing on a baton to the next generation. And their role is to keep expanding the whole family wealth so that they keep things escalating. They bring their own unique perspective. They bring their own wealth dynamic. They bring their own values, which is why it's so important. We bring children of all ages. Doesn't matter what age, whether they're 18, 28, doesn't matter. Children are all children. We're all children at the end of the day. Then we want to bring them into the equation so that they don't just distribute the money, spend the money. They see it as a right and an obligation to become the future stewards of the wealth that you are working so hard right now. If you sign the declaration and commit to that, you be possibly the first time pioneers of your own family and your own family's wealth plan, which is why we encourage that naming to be done. Your family wealth business, your Rod Wellbeing, your Wealth Builders Together, the whole principle of creating the name is so that you can put the whole family behind it. It's not just about what you're doing today, keeping it to yourself, and then one day, someday, the kids wake up and they've got something they didn't know what was coming. The whole idea is to get them involved as early as makes sense in your family situation. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'll continue. So we are passing on a legacy, and then together with the principles and wisdom to maintain and expand it.
Exactly. So not just the money, how do you expand that? How do you grow that? And how do you make that something, and you've heard me talk about it, that I want to, an old portrait, not like Cromwell or Henry VIII, want a portrait. And, every few years, just raise a glass to the old git who started the ball rolling, but they're expanding it, they feel it. It becomes part of their DNA so that they, as the future of your family's wealth, will be willing to sign and update that declaration. And maybe you've got an idea that we could use to change the words, but they're my words. I hope they resonate with you, and hopefully we'll get some people who haven't committed to their own cause to start that journey pretty soon.
Yeah. Thanks for explaining those, Kevin. And we'd love for you to download your own copy if you enjoyed that, and head to wealthbuilders.co.uk/declaration and click the button, download that, frame it, stick it on your wall, keep it in sight. And, we're moving into a new year, Kevin. 2023 is just around the corner. We had a lovely Christmas lunch this week with the whole team up in London. Very enjoyable. But everyone's really excited about what we've got coming next year, and so are we. And we'd love for as many people to come along and join us on that ride to helping 50,000 people achieve financial independence.
And it was lovely to celebrate with our own team. And Angela Hartnett's team did us proud. It was a wonderful 6-course tasting menu. I didn't think I could eat so much, Chris, but I didn't think I could drink so much either.
Drink so much.
But the bill revealed that. But what a pleasure. And all part of life's experiences. And, we want to be able to do more of that, not just with our own team, but the wider community as we bring more experiences into play in 2023. And if you've got an idea of an experience that you think would possibly bring wealth builders together, maybe you've got some skill or ideas of your own. And we know we've had one of our members arrange the Portuguese wine tasting session. Doesn't all have to be about food and wine though, but you know what I mean. And we'll be having some site visits, and we'll be doing many things in 2023. But if you've got an idea, we'd love to hear from you, because we need to get out and about all across the UK. We're not traveling far-flung just yet, but all across the UK. If you want to come and meet with us, let us know if you've got something that you think we could do that would get, maybe a good number of people together, 40, 50, or up to 100 people together. We'll certainly be putting some kind of much bigger event on, I guess, in 2023 as we bring out Wealth Builders for Families. I keep talking about that. I must finish the work.
It's definitely coming out Q1 2023. We've said it now. Okay, so
thanks. Go write something else, Chris.
Yeah, no, we're so looking forward to the launch of that program. So, yeah, I think that wraps up today's episode. Then, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to go and download your copy of the declaration. And Kevin will be back same time, same place next week.
Well, thank you for taking me down a trip down memory lane. And until then, my friend, see ya.